All right, good afternoon, everyone. How are you all? First of all, we appreciate the opportunity to present to you guys. I think it's a key thing for everybody to take a look at this thing. My name is John Woodruff. I'm the Vice President of North America for GreaseShield USA. With me is Stephen Kennedy. He's our Vice President of Technical Sales. He's from Northern Ireland. So if you want to talk to him, you got to listen very closely. And then I've got Dan Sala. Dan is our logistics manager here in Chicago, who would send out all of our material. So we'll start off with, does everybody know what a grease trap is? Is there anybody that doesn't know what a grease trap is? Everybody kind of should know, right? So let's discuss real quick, what is a grease trap and what does it do currently? The grease trap, as it sits today in the world and pretty much in North America, for example, was invented in the 1880s. That technology hasn't changed hardly any since the thing was invented 140 years ago. So in particular, we're talking about under the sink grease traps and not the in-the-ground 1,000-gallon massive traps that a lot of the restaurants use. There's an example of one of our machines right there. This is currently what is being used in the United States currently. So grease traps currently are passive, which means there's nothing mechanical about it. The water goes in. Over time, grease will float, solids will settle to the bottom, and water passes through. That's how it's supposed to work, right? The issue is when you've got a vessel that small, any amount of water that comes through is just pushing that grease right down the line. They're not very effective. And most of that has to do with passivity and retention time. They just don't have enough time to settle out, and therefore they're just not really effective. So that's what happens to the line when you start passing a bunch of grease down the street. So standard grease traps are passive in the U.S. The solids settle, the greases float, and it's all based on how much time it sits there. And when you're in a restaurant and water's continually flowing down sinks and dishwashers and everything else, there's just not much retention time for that grease to settle out. So what happens if the grease trap hasn't had time to settle out? You pass down this grease down the line, and it ends up being very costly for the restaurants. So how do we fix that? We have some new technology called GreaseShield. The GreaseShield has been globally certified to remove 97 to 99.72% of all the grease and animal fats that enter it. Okay, it also is the only one to receive a Green Eco Award for grease traps. So its functionality is way better than our competitors. It's hydromechanical, so it's constantly in motion. So it's moving water and grease around to remove that grease. And it also removes animal fats as well. And it also has a food collection bin on the side that will remove food and crumbs and stuff from getting into the machine and become anaerobic and smelly. Okay? So it's user-friendly because they're not going to have a company come pump out their grease trap anymore, or even the under sink one. It has to be cleaned by municipal code every so often. That goes away. It'll eliminate any fog, drain line clogs, because this thing is going to remove all that grease before it ever hits the line. And because it doesn't allow the crumbs and the food particles inside the machine, it never goes anaerobic, so it never has that grease trap smell. So you don't have, if everybody smells a grease trap, it's a smell you kind of remember the rest of your life. So why would you choose a GreaseShield? Well, number one, you want to protect your plumbing and your drain lines. That's a giant cost to a restaurant or to an institution when they have to have somebody come snake that line out or line jet. It's a huge cost. This thing is fully programmable. It has a little PLC on the side. We can turn it on. We can turn it off. We can set when the machine runs, when it turns off. It actually runs through a daily cleaning cycle where it cleans itself. So no employee has to get inside the machine. The only employee maintenance is to empty the grease on the outside collection and to empty the food out of the filter shield. So no, we don't want employees getting on the inside of the machine at all. There's no need for it. It cleans itself. You can save a lot of money by, there's no need to have companies come and pump this thing out. It's doing its own thing. It's removing that grease for them. Again, it's automatically self-cleaning. And the grease that's harvested can be used for several things. If they already have used cooking oil collections, it can go in the used cooking oil bin because it's only going to be 3% moisture. It's going to be better quality grease than what they get out of their fryers. So it can be disposed of if they want to do that. It can be sent out for renewable energy. There's all kinds of things you can do with that grease besides you just washing down the stream or having somebody come pay to clean out your grease trap and dispose of that grease. It now becomes a quote-unquote sustainable answer for an unsustainable product. So again, it's proactive in the fact that it's a mechanical, hydromechanical machine that's constantly moving. It uses the thermal waste energy off the hot water to push that grease and even the emulsified greases up against that roller so that roller can extract that grease from the water. Okay? The big thing is we're also the only machine that will remove animal fats. People who are cooking hamburgers and meat products and stuff, this thing will pick up those greases as well. The big thing, again, is if you smell the grease trap, this thing will never stink because it won't go anaerobic because all the solids are collected on the outside of the machine. So how does it work? The water enters the filter shield. Filter shield pulls out all the solids, all the crumbs, all the batter, whatever happens to be in that water. Then the water goes inside the machine, and it has what are called cooperating baffles. That water is swished back and forth, and even has some magnets in there that actually harvest good bacteria, which can be pushed down line. So this thing is constantly moving that water back and forth and pushing that grease up against this hydrophilic roller that will actually attract that grease and pull the grease out of the water. And it will actually pull out even emulsify contaminants. So all this stuff broken down as far as your TSS goes and stuff, a lot of it will get picked up by the roller itself. So what are the operational benefits? It's going to remove all your greased solids. Most municipal code calls for less than 100 parts per million of fog being discharged. If you can be less than 100 parts per million, they would be tickled pink. This machine here averages less than 42 parts per million. In some of the case studies that we've done overseas, it's pulling less than 30, sometimes 17, sometimes 0, depending on what the application is. But this thing does a great job of pulling that grease out of the water. It's very user-friendly. There's really no staff needs except once a day to clean out the grease and clean out the filter shield. No other human involvement needs to be done. It runs by itself. Again, it's odor-free. This thing has won numerous awards, which I'll show you here in a minute. It's very small and compact. We have different sizes. I think we have 5 base models available. And ours is based on flow rate. We want to know how many gallons a minute is going to come through that line, and then we can present which filter shield would handle that flow rate. Whether it be from a 3-bowl sink, whether it be from a dishwasher, whether it be from rotisserie ovens, combi ovens, whatever. We can handle all those. Okay. It saves by having your grease trap professionally cleaned once, twice, usually quarterly or sometimes monthly. And those can be costly, hundreds of dollars per service or $100 per service or whatever that number is. So it saves all that cost. There's no need for any enzymes or biologicals or anything like that. This thing works without any of that stuff. We don't want to put that stuff down inside there. It protects all the pump stations. And one of the big things is our machine, compared to other under-the-sink grease traps, has no heating element at all. That's a key thing. When you start mixing an electric heating element with grease, there's a potential for a fire risk, and we don't go down that path because we don't have one. So it significantly lowers operating costs. So through independent testing, which is PDI, which is the Plumbing and Drainage Institute, there's our independent testing. And you can see we go anywhere from 95.2 on that particular model all the way to 99.72. We average 97 to 99.72 with all of our machines. And that is grease being removed. The key thing about PDI is that's done when the machine's not even running. They dump all that stuff in there. They measure what comes up the back end. So can you imagine how good our machine runs when it is running? So we have every global certification machine can have. We have PDI, which is used in the United States. We have the Association of Mechanical Engineering, which is used in the United States. We have the Canada. We are UL. We are NSF. And we have our global green tag. We have a lot more, but it just gets convoluted because of it's all over the world, and it may or may not pertain to you. So the optional benefits, again, it's eco-friendly, 99% recyclable. The grease is harvestable. Now, instead of being just trapped grease being shoved down the line and being disposed of by some grease hauler, that grease is now reusable for other things if they want to go down that path. It certainly can do that. It can be used in anaerobic digestion. It can be used in renewable diesel, and it can be rendered for a lot of fuel stocks as well. And it also protects the drain lines and protects all their drainage systems. There's a number of our awards that the GreaseShield has won. It's been in business for 21 years now, I think, right, Stephen? 21? So we've won a number of awards, including in 2014, we won the best new kitchen innovation at the NRA here in Chicago. So it's a very well-respected machine, especially overseas. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. So again, we mentioned heating elements. Some of our competitors have 1 to 2 to 3 heating elements in them, and they range from a wattage of, 750 to 1500 watts. The higher the wattage, the more risk there is of a fire. We don't have a heating element on ours, so there's really no risk of fire. Very little energy consumption with our machine. It has 2 little bitty motors and a PLC, and so it's very little energy consumption. Here's an emergency maintenance order that we got from a KFC over in Ireland, Stephen? England. It says right here that the fat stripper, which is one of our competitors, caught fire under the sink. And the fire was 3 feet high. So we don't have a heating element. We're not going down that path. I don't like heating elements and grease together. So the other thing I want to say to you guys, as being kitchen designers and just architects in general, is we can provide full design and technical support. If you send us CAD drawings, we can look at all the contamination points, make our suggestions, and if you want, we can place our machines on your CAD drawings and show you exactly what they would be and what they would look like inside the restaurant. Those of you who use CAD or AutoCAD, we can do that for you. Steven and those guys are very, very good at it. Here's a design we did for Chick-fil-A just to show you with the GreaseShields in place. We can help you do that if you want to see what it would look like inside your drawings. We provide full support, no problem. So if you're looking for a recommendation on what to use, you send us a drawing or whatever you want to send us as far as specs go. We will look at any contaminating points. We'll identify that. What type of contamination are we going to deal with? We will calculate the flow rates for you. We will make a proposed location and model, and then we will help you get that design on your CAD drawings, and so that you can get that proposed to your customer. Okay. There's some of our customers, mostly, I'll be honest with you, mostly in Europe. We've been very successful in England, Ireland, Sweden, China, Portugal. So we've been very successful overseas. We know the machine works. Customers who have our machines absolutely positively love it. We have over 100 machines on rotisserie ovens at Wegmans up in the Northeast on their rotisserie ovens. So had tremendous feedback from all of our customers so far. And with that, I'll tell you, there's a machine right there. Anybody wants to look at it, we'll be happy to explain the machine to you. You can certainly look at it, no problem. I will also tell you that we have a test kitchen at our facility in Lombard. If anybody wants to come by and see one in action before you propose one to your customers, that's fine. Just give us a day notice. We'll set it up for you. You can come in, see the GreaseShield in action, live, removing grease. Okay? So, questions? $100?
No.
Well, it depends.
Yeah, it kind of depends. So we can go up to over 100 gallons per minute. We don't have any of them products in the United States at the moment. we're sort of, at the moment, we're sort of working on the smaller models up to about 55 gallons. So anything below that, it is above ground, but some of the larger models are, because of the size capacity required for the larger flow rate, they need to be almost a floor below or maybe a basement with basement, something like that. But the majority, I would say 95% of all the products we put out the door are in the kitchen, actually at source. Move the food waste and the phosphorus and grease at source or whatever becomes a problem. What's the warranty on?
Warranty as we sit here today is 1 year. Parts and labor, right?
12 to 24 months.
Yeah, I think it's 1 year. We can play with that. We can extend a 3-year warranty if that's what it takes to satisfy a customer's need. But I'll be honest with you, the machine doesn't break down, so I don't really care what the warranty is. I'll be honest with you because there's really not much in there. There's really not much in there to break down. It's a couple pumps and a PLC. So the standard warranty is a year, but if we needed something more than a year to satisfy a customer's need, we could probably go down that path. Yeah, I think for what we're looking for in the U.S. as far as a 3-compartment sink, that would be the biggest seller right there. That is a GS25 PF, so that's GreaseShield 25 gallons with a pre-filter. That's what that is. Never. It's self-cleaning, so it's self-regulates itself every day. It does not have to be cleaned or serviced by a commercial food waste hauler. It doesn't have to be cleaned by one of those guys at all. So the only thing passing through the machine actually is water. The grease is being extracted. Yes.
Well, it meets and exceeds all the requirements of all state common codes. So the international common code, UPC, meets all them. Certain states have additional product approval, like in Massachusetts, Wisconsin, and even something down in Miami as well. We had to get additional approval. But again, we've got all that.
And we would provide that support if somebody were to push back against us. We have no problem. That's my expertise. So municipal code and those things is my expertise. So we have no problem help getting that kind of stuff pushed through because there's really no reason why they wouldn't approve it. It's going to put out less than 30 parts per million of grease. They ought to be kissing us when we walk in. I mean, because we're going to do more than any of their grease traps are currently doing. And I'll be honest, if every restaurant had one of these in there, we'd never have another grease problem in the United States. We wouldn't. That's probably true currently. We're going to work on that. That's one of our long-term goals is to get kind of past that. And that's going to require a lot of work on my part to get in front of municipalities. It's hard to change code. There's no question, hard to change code. But I will tell you, we've put machines in lieu of an underground trap. And once they've had a chance to see it and play with it, they're totally on board. I'm working on one right now in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where they said, bring it on. We'll take it. Bring it on. Well, we've been in business overseas for 21 years. We've dabbled in the U.S. We've had some customers in the U.S. Up in the Northeast. This is our first full-blown entrance into the U.S. We are totally committed to the U.S. This is going to happen. We've got a warehouse now in Lombard that Dan runs that's got about $2.5 million worth of inventory in there. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to rock and roll. That's not the biggest barrier right now. Honestly, is just the fact that it's brand new technology, and it's so much different than currently what's out there that it's kind of blowing people away, kind of, and they're saying, well, yeah, it looks great. I'd like to see it and play with it and test it. That's a bigger barrier than kind of municipal code or anything like that. Again, once you use one in one of your bids, I'm telling you, you're going to use it all the time because your customers are going to love it. I promise you, they're going to love it. It's an unbelievable machine. Oh yeah, yeah. We have a distributor in California. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but Yeah, it's a small. Yeah. Yes. Yes. We have installations in California, I know, in Idaho for sure, and Texas, and yeah. Well, he's talking west. Um, but yes, yes. No, I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, California's they're an interesting group to do business with. I don't actually know the answer to that question. I want to say yes. Who was I was talking to a guy the other day, but I can't confidently say yes. We have a distributor out there in Los Angeles who wanted to buy some the other day because he had some of them used, but I didn't really get into where he was using them from. Thoughts? Interesting? Yeah. Um, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. I don't know because we had a guy who's no longer with us that did that install, and we haven't heard anything bad back. I can tell you that. But I need to go follow up on that myself because Chick-fil-A obviously would be a tremendous customer to get. Oh, well, I can tell you we have machines hooked directly to a chicken rotisserie fryer that.
Actually, go back a couple of years now. Wegmans had to travel up to Rochester, New York. They actually had a test kitchen before they actually let it into one of the stores. It had to go through trials there. So we done a couple of runs of chicken or birds in the rotisserie oven. Tested it, we're happy enough with the results. Tested it out in two different stores. It dragged on for almost a year and a half. And then eventually it got to the stage where it rolled it out to every store and buy it. We've never failed a trial yet.
So the machines that we hook to a predominantly chicken fat actually has an instant water heater on the back of it. So it's constantly injecting hot water in there too, because that chicken fat is just, you know what that looks like. It's just an emulsified. Bleh. So the hot water moves it along. So it actually has a instant hot water heater on the back of it that helps stuff move along. But it works well with the chicken grease. It works really well. Okay, again, there's a machine. You're welcome to look at it. We'll explain it to you if you want. Again, you guys who work with, and especially on the restaurant side, if you want to come over to our place in Lombard and see one in action, we would welcome that. No problem. We'll just give us a call a day ahead of time, and we'll make sure things are set up and you can see one in action. I hope lunch was good, satisfactory anyway. No, no, thank you. We're appreciative to be here.
What company is there? What chain are using your product right now? So we've got Wegmans, we've got Stop and Shop, Grand Store. Primarily, these model chains are all, if you want to do something with chicken fat, all the major problems with the game blends. So they've got their other prison receptors that cover in other locations, but obviously the rotisserie oven, separating oven, cause the major problems with them. So they are the advantage of this kind of doing me and that was a guy called Sam. Um, I don't know, me personally, I don't think you got.
I need to follow up on that one. We have one installed down in Georgia at a Chick-fil-A. And the guy who worked for us at the time is no longer with us, and I'm not sure anybody's followed up on that, but I need to. I just found this out just the other day. They've had it installed, but we've had zero service calls or zero complaints on it. So I'm assuming that it's gone very well. But I'd like to go in there and personally talk to the guy and find out. That it? Thank you.